For the first time in months, I'm doing the sensible thing, cutting back my mileage to a pathetic 30k a day to freshen up for a race. The goal? A 63-minute half marathon. The shape? My best ever. The competition? World class. It's the perfect setup. Greatness awaits. All that's left to do is race harder, not smarter. Let the chaos commence. Now this is a huge race in Japan, probably the biggest half marathon, so there's an elite section full of East Africans and Japanese which I somehow managed to infiltrate into. But before we get to that, I met up with some French mates who were over here for the week and are working on a top secret classified project. All I can say for now is we've got something huge in the works for later this year. So let's get to 100k subs and there might be a special little something dropping. But I had to welcome them to Japan with a classic ceremonial natto tasting ritual. These slimy fermented beans are a baptism of fire, but an essential part of my daily Scran to Japan cuisine.
Okay,
This is
so now
pure health, right?
I'm going straight in.
First taste test.
Okay, I'm going back.
Oh, he's going straight back for more. He's absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
Not too bad, eh?
Good.
Oh, let's go.
A lot less intense than the smell. I think it's like.
I think
like-
William is struggling with it.
He's fighting to get it down.
Wait, did you put the mustard in?
Yeah, I did.
I did.
He's tried everything.
So yeah.
Oh my god.
Just forget the smell.
Okay.
What are we saying?
It smells worse than it tastes.
Okay.
So it's good news, but I don't like it.
But it's still,
Like, I don't want to take it.
Now, to make up for the natto trauma, we had to hit up a konbini for a sweet treat because the variety and ever-changing selection of snacks over here are otherworldly. Tell the people what have we got here.
We've got an apple pie mixed with a cream bun.
It's mind-blowing. Thoughts?
Amazing, so good.
Unreal. And this is a Japanese classic.
This is the pancake burger with red meat and cream. Like red meat.
Red meat, red bean.
This is unreal.
You should come, guys.
Yeah.
Many more, it's the place.
Shout out. and please sponsor me while we're here. Frankly, it's an outrage that no food company has sponsored me yet, as this running channel is obviously just an elaborate cover-up for my Scran addiction. But now let's hit the race course to keep up this running act. So I'm on a bit of a course recce now. I'm checking it out because actually, even though this course starts right near my house, like I'm always over here by the stadium, actually the route it goes, I never really run before. I think maybe only during Tokyo Marathon because it's just similar to that, but I need to get a little feel for it. So for an important race like this, I like to properly assess the battlefield before launching an attack. Now the bit that I care about is basically just the first 5k and the last 5k because the middle looks dead flat, but to start with, you've basically got 5k downhill, so you're cruising there, and then to finish they've gone and stuck the uphill on the whole final 5k. So when you're absolutely swimming, the lactic sniper's taking shots and you've got to rock climb up this mountain at the same time. But I don't think it's too bad. I think it's a little bit of a gradual hill, but that's why I want to run it today. That's a little road closure on the weekend, thank God, because this is why I never run this route. Sat here just at a traffic light, probably have to chill for like 2 minutes. Absolutely infuriating, but yeah, all these massive roads are just complete nightmare to run on. But eventually we got moving again and I started to devise the game plan. So I'd never normally say this, but I think on this section, I'm gonna have to try and bank time early, which usually is an absolutely shocking tactic. It'll come back to bite you. But because it is downhill and we're gonna be finishing up, it's physically impossible to negative split this race, that you have to positive split it. You have to get slower in the second half. Takes me back, Tokyo Marathon, what a day. So I completed the downhill section pretty much, and then I've just turned around and we'll see how it feels now coming back up. This is the point where the vision's probably gone, lost hearing entirely, and it's just battling, absolutely slogging it out to try and get to the end. So I'd accepted my fate. It was the classic Japanese strategy of go out at a suicidal pace and try not to die for as long as possible. All right, so we're here at the National Stadium. So it's the day before. I've got to do some registration thingy, like pick up the bibs. Like it's so legit out here. I think it's basically like Tokyo Marathon where they check all the labels and stuff in your kit. I have to like bring along all my stuff. I've got some coach's credentials for, show you a little behind the scenes, my camera crew here. I'm upgrading, moving up, but yeah, we're getting like behind the scenes access. So before the race, you can go like under the stadium, get a special warm up area. So I'll probably bring the cam along tomorrow, but yeah, this is just getting set up, getting prepared, and then later we'll talk about the plan of attack for race day. So with those logistics out of the way, it was back to base to regroup. So I'm in prep mode for tomorrow. I've got that kit lay going because can you even say you're racing if you haven't done this for Instagram? But this is all the essentials I'm gonna need. Barraclough on the vest. Obviously, I'd have preferred ran to Japan, but we'll take it. Certified athlete right here. Got that elite access. Got my Koros, Nomio for that lactic buffer. I'm comboing that with the old Morton bicarb as well. And then the fresh Brooks singlet Booyakasha. That right there is the recipe for a PB. I've just got to get a big dinner in tonight. It's going to be a classic Hirshoku restaurant. We'll find something where there's unlimited rice. That's basically all you need. And then it's just over to race day. I'm just have to bury myself, give it absolutely everything, try come out with a PB. And just remember that classic saying, race harder, not smarter. So with those famous last words, it was on to race day. I got my classic 5K warm-up in, drills, strides, all of that. And actually at this race, most of the Suzuki team who I did that training camp with over the summer, they were also here. So it was class to reunite with my Japanese brethren again. And I knew that once we hit the course, there'd be plenty of familiar faces around there to get stuck in with. Now, as we're waiting around on the start line, this is where the realization that I could be in a little bit of trouble started to creep in. See, I was already boiling. No amount of summer heat training can outdo my ginger genetics. My half marathon PB was set in 0 degrees, freezing, which is optimum conditions if you ask me. So looking back now, what the bloody hell am I thinking trying to attempt an all-out best in 25 and humid conditions right now? Probably not the smartest idea, but you know, you can't say I don't live up to my motto. So once again, we got one of these live streams, which is quality. Like for the last few races, I feel like it's so much more fun when I commentate over them and people seem to be enjoying them. So we'll keep this going today, but you can see me, what am I doing? I think I'm trying to get a GPS signal maybe. So I know it's a little bit dodgy, like inside the stadium, you have to go through a bit of a tunnel at the start. But you can see at the front, this race is ridiculously stacked. You've just got a ton of these Kenyan guys at the front. So most of those run for Japanese teams. They're on these like corporate Jisugyodan Ekiden teams. And then you've got all the top Japanese guys as well with them, like bunch of sort of 60-minute half marathon. I just saw myself bopping up and down in the background. At least I'm easy to pick out on these streams. I stand out a little bit. And you can see all of those yellow vests. So at the start, yeah, I was obviously chatting with a lot of the Suzuki boys before, and they're all lined up there. A whole load of familiar faces you might recognize from that summer series. And all of those guys have PBs of at least 63, but most of them in the sort of 62 range. So they were shooting for a similar time to me today, trying to dip under 63. And then Kiriyama, who became a good mate on that training camp, he was going for sub-62. And I've been checking out his training on Strava because I introduced that to him. Like none of the Japanese guys use it, but looking at what he's been doing recently, he's in some pretty filthy shape. But yeah, we're underway here. You can see some monster crowds. Everyone gets rocking and rolling. In standard Japanese fashion, you gotta go out hard. So I was prepared to just let the front boys go. I wasn't quite sure how aggressive this was gonna be at the start, because I saw last year was one in maybe 60 flat or even just under. So like, yeah, at the front, they are moving. But actually what happened here was we started off pretty conservatively and I found myself pretty near the front. Like I went off at my sort of target pace, which was just under 3-minute Ks. And actually the whole front group, maybe like 50 of us, were just sat at that sort of pace at the start. So we ticked through 1K in 3 flat. Actually on Strava, so I had a lot of people commenting because apparently my first K, according to the GPS, was a 2:44, and then apparently I set a mile PB as well in here, but nah, that wasn't actually the case. It's because we went through a tunnel near the start, so it just throws the GPS off completely. But it was actually a pretty safe, like conservative start for me. And in terms of knowing what shape I'm in and what kind of pace should be doable going into this race, I was basing it off all my recent sessions and the race predictions from Kaizen. So I've partnered up with them again for this block, and you remember before at Gold Coast, the app got it bang on with my actual fitness level, or lack of at the time, and it allowed me to knock out an evenly paced race, just dipping under that 220 barrier. So this time I've programmed Valencia Marathon into the app as my target, set the goal to 209, and then each week I'm given a weekly mileage target to knock out based on the average pace and elevation of my runs. Now, luckily we're on the same wavelength, and Kaizen are pushing the train harder method too, so they can happily keep feeding me these 250k plus weeks, and I'll just lap up those miles. So all of their algorithms are based on rock solid data, so it's good to know there's method to my madness. And in chasing that 209, that I'm still on track. So if you want to give the app a go for your next race build, then you can use the code RANTOJAPAN for an extended free trial. The one thing to note though is that their predictions assume an optimum race course and conditions, which was a slight problem for me today. Now the sun's out here, and I felt like in these sort of shaded parts it's not too bad, but every time we just hit a little open area, I just felt like I was just draining. Like so hot, oppressive. There's something about Tokyo where it just traps the heat, like all those big buildings. So it ends up feeling way hotter than 25 here. And we still got a massive pack here. I'm just basically keeping an eye on the Suzuki runners because I know the kind of shape they're in. Having trained with them all summer, I know that, yeah, I can hang with those guys in training. So it's definitely give a whole load of confidence that in a race, yeah, I should be able to hang with them as well. But we're coming through 2K here in another sort of 3-minute K. So it was pretty safe, like for a Japanese race, especially these front guys who are sub 60-minute half marathoners. Like this is basically jogging for them. But for me, already I'm starting to think, this feels weirdly hard. 2K into the race, and this pace should have been very comfy for me. And after a few little up and down bumps, we now just past 2K enter the downhill stretch. So it's what, 4K or so downhill. But yeah, I'm still feeling very hard. And the pace does ramp up a little bit, but only because of that downhill. So I think we start picking up to maybe 255 pace. But I know that I'm definitely working way too hard at this stage. Like we're only just getting started. We're not even 10 minutes into the race, and I'm starting to feel, ooh, I could be a bit cooked here. But basically my thinking is, even when I see the weather, like I know, yeah, it's way too hot realistically for me to try and run a PB. But when I've tapered into a race and I've targeted it like this, whether I run a 63.50 or blow up and run a 73, that's the exact same time. Like for me, just personally, it doesn't do anything for me. If it's not a PB, it's not gonna move me up the British rankings. So I basically just think I might as well shoot for a PB because I've got nothing to lose here. It's not like this is my big target race. I've got another half marathon in 3-4 weeks again where I'll try and go a whole lot quicker. And this is just a nice little swing out. But yeah, at the time I'm definitely not feeling comfy, and I was starting to worry that this could get very messy. So I'm still kind of hanging in the pack here, but the pace is feeling seriously hard. So we've got here at the front, Adao. He's actually this young guy who's kind of popped off recently. He runs for the team ND Soft that I know, yeah, a couple guys from, and I've met him, yeah, he's very friendly. But he's a ridiculous talent. He was injured, I think, for a long time during uni, and then just absolutely popped off. Ran like a 2:07 marathon, beat Kipchoge at Sydney Marathon. And I feel like he's probably the next big thing in Japanese running if he can keep it going. But he's starting to push the pace here. And the last couple splits in here were sort of 2:55, 2:57. And we're just coming up to the 5K split here, which I hit in 14:52. So that's kind of bang on those 2:58, 2:59. So I'm on pace, but we've had a nice little downhill for the last 3K. And to be honest, I'm already right at my limit. Like I'm basically redlining about 5K into the race. Like I'm pretty much about to pop, which is never a great sign when you've still got another, 16K, 10 miles to go. So this is where the breaks pretty much happen. There's now a separate group and then a sort of chase pack or like sort of train stringing out behind, which I'm kind of part of there. And at 6K now, the road's pretty much flattened out. So I've lost that hill advantage, and I've realized, oh shit, without that downhill, I am in some trouble here. The road's flat, I'm getting no help. And those sub 3-minute Ks are definitely starting to slip. So I think this was pretty much the last time I actually broke 3-minute K in this race. So you're gonna start losing me on the actual stream here, but luckily there's a fair few clips and stuff that we can put in. Because it's so big, this race, you see as spectators along the whole sideline. So there's a ton of videos, and some of you guys actually sent in. So yeah, shout out to you for that. But you can see in this front pack, so you've got Kiriyama there. He's tucked in with, yeah, a bunch of the East Africans. You got Suguru Osako just behind. And then actually Ethan, one of my mates, American guy who's living in Tokyo, very good runner. He ran 2:17, I think, 2:18 on his marathon debut. And he's getting in some naughty shape now, but he's hanging in there as well. The one white guy stuck in. He's doing us proud, hanging in there for the boys. But for me, things have started going downhill pretty quickly. We've got some 3:03 splits, 3:07, 3:03, 3:09. And as we knock through 10K here, I've got a 30:15. So I've drifted well off pace. I'm now towards sort of 64-minute pace. And that last 5K was a 15:20. And I'm genuinely starting to worry whether I'm gonna make the finish. So if you remember a couple weeks back, the Yamagata half had that crazy second wind. Like we were moving uphill the whole way. And then as soon as we turned back, I was like flying down. Whereas this race, all I'm thinking about is, hang on, I've had the downhill now. Like this is my moment, that's my strong part. From now on, I've got flat and then uphill to look forward to. So there's no getting easier. It's literally just gonna be a violent downhill from now. And the splits start drifting even further. So now we're well outside 3:10s even. Nowhere near my even target marathon pace. You remember, to drop a sub 2:10, I need like 3:05s. I guess because of the heat, we got tricked into thinking, oh, it's nice and cool like earlier in the week. And then bang, there was a little mini heat wave again on the weekend. It's Tokyo weather, it just loves playing games. But even the winners here, they ran a whole lot slower than last year. I think maybe a minute and a half, even 2 minutes maybe. And we've actually got a mad finish here. So I thought that front guy had it wrapped up, but then a huge final kick. Almost like the world champs in Tokyo, like the marathon there. But I think Barraclough just managed to hold on for a 2:01 mid. But now back to me, still slogging out on the course, hating every single minute of it as we climb up this big, long hill. Instead of an all-time best PB, I'm now looking at an all-time worst kind of territory. But we had Kiriyama just come in there, huge from him actually still. I think he was 62 mid maybe. So about a minute slower than what he was aiming for, but still in these conditions, huge run. And then Ethan absolutely smashed it. I think just dipped under the 63, so he got a 62:59 or something. So monster effort from him. He's an old BYU boy, so like old training partner with Clayton Young, Connor Mance, like all those boys. And then there was just a string of bodies absolutely clinging on, me being one of them. As you can see here, I'm coming in, doing that final lap of the stadium. And I thought, oh, let's just try and dip under 66. I realized, oh, it might be possible. Because even in Yamagata, I think 2 weeks back, hilly course, hot, at the end of a 280K week, like no taper at all. I still ran a 65 something there. So clearly tapering is a myth, because here I come into the finish at 66 flat. Yeah, not ideal. Just the, 3 minutes slower than planned. So basically this race was over before it even got started. I was pretty much just hanging for like 80% of the race. It's a painful way to run it. But that's the gamble you take with the race harder, not smarter approach. Now you want to stick around because today was only just getting started. I somehow turned one of my worst races ever into one of my best ever training days. But first for the warm down, where I jumped in a jog with some mates like the mountain god himself, Kiriyama, who it was great to briefly catch up with again, and Yamashita, who's making his debut on this channel. But we've battled it out against each other in countless races before. He's in a pretty unique position where he's on one of the only running brand sponsored teams in Japan, but unlike pro runners abroad, they still work full time, so are effectively just ridiculously fast amateurs.
山下雄飛です。今年26歳、で、今チームニトロっていうところで
ティームニトロ、そう、ピューマスポンサーのクラブチームですね。
クラブチーム。
さあ、会社で働いてますね。
そう、普通に会社で、サラリーマンしながら。サラリーマン。普通仕事スタイル。9時から5時までぐらい？9時から、8時半から5時半。仕事の後、練習。そう。でもめっちゃ早い。自己ベスト教えてね。マラソンが2時間14分46。東京ね。東京。今年の東京。東京、実は、途中までね。そう、近い。41キロぐらい走った。
So while I was in the deepest pits of hell near the end of Tokyo Marathon, Yamashita timed his final kick to perfection and snuck past me in that final K. But luckily today I managed to even the scores as I just about held him off. But even though we're always so similar in performances, the training style could not be more opposite. I'm basically a British guy training like a Japanese, and he's a Japanese training like a Brit.
1週間に何キロ走ってる？1
週間だいたい100から120ぐらい。
ちょっと低いね。日本人だけど。
そう低いと思う。
スピードランナー。いや。次のレース福岡ね。マラソンは福岡。マラソン。でも前はハーフ？あれ？
ハーフもない、駅伝がある。東。さあ目標
クラブチームナンバーワンでしょ
So his team are aiming to be the best amateurs in Japan in the upcoming Ekiden races, but I'll also be getting involved and I'm buzzing to link up with my old Yoyogi Park training partners again as we take on the East Japan Ekiden. So marathons are huge in Japan, but they pale in comparison to these relay races, so we've got plenty to look forward to.
東日本で頑張りましょうね。みんな応援してありがとうございます。
But just when the day looked like it was over, the race harder, not smarter method having failed me, I still had one more trick up my sleeve. So today we took the L. It was a bit of a shocker, but you know what? I think my body's feeling right, so at least it shouldn't have taken too much out of me. I think I can get right back into training. In fact, actually right now I'm thinking later I might hit the track for a speed session. We'll see. Maybe in a couple hours I'll be wiped out, but I actually feel okay now. I think my brain just shut down my body before we could do too much damage to it. And guess where I ended up that afternoon? Well, I bet you didn't see this one coming. We're back at the track for a redemption session. Some of our best ever sessions have been after a race. You know, the post-race punishment where you have a shocker and you come back and just absolutely let rip, unleash hell on the track. So hopefully that's what happens now. Actually, my body feels completely fine, like the least banged up I've ever been after a race probably. And I guess that's how it should be. After running a 66-minute half marathon, I mean, that's not even my target marathon pace. So if I'm feeling banged up after that, I've got no chance at 2:09 in Valencia. But I'm thinking basically get a bit of speed work in this week because I've effectively done a long tempo in the morning and then now we'll try and get some 10k work. We'll go 2:55 per k, no set number, and we'll just see how many I can do. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 5, we'll see, but just get something, get some work in so this day isn't a complete waste of time. And fueled by pure rage, Quadzilla emerged once again to wreak havoc. I surprised myself with how well this went, but I guess all it took was some wet, windy weather to turn the tides and I was back in business. 6 by 1k off 60-second jog, knocking out 2:54 for all of them, which I'd have been pleased with if it was just a standalone session. But at the end of a 50k day with a monster half marathon shift earlier, this was a true train harder moment, which I'm gonna need as I'm racing a marathon next week, so there's no time to play around. But at least I've got so many races now that it's basically just straight onto the next. It's just non-stop. The cart horse keeps rolling. So I'll catch you in the next one. This has been Jake with Run to Japan. Remember, train harder, not smarter. Let's get it.